might have watched it and you might have been horrified and thought, I'm going to just put my phone down. Somebody who did is Lois Perry, broadcaster, mum of a 17-year-old and a 10-year-old. She joins us, as does the BBC's technology editor, Rory Cellan-Jones. Lois, I don't know if it was because of this documentary that you stopped using your smartphone, but you became aware of the grip it had on you.
Well, absolutely. It was completely dominating my husband and my life. What it is, everything is in the phone, and it's had that. Therefore, it becomes in charge of you. So, I mean, since we've basically come away from the smartphone tyranny, Richard and I have had to buy lots of different things. Like had to go and buy a sat nav. We had to go and buy.
Seriously?
Yeah, we had to go and buy sat navs. We had to go and buy a really lovely digital camera for the house and a little tiny digital camera from my bag. I bought him a Filofax, a lovely leather Filofax, which he adores, with a little calculator in it. It makes you realise when you have to go around purchasing the items, to have a semi-normal life, how extraordinary the grip that little bit of metal in your pocket has on your entire life. I mean, we are like, I don't want to go into details, but we are like when we just met. It's like it's rejuvenated everything about our business and our family. I don't want to get, go on and on about it in terms of how wonderful it is, but it really is for us. I mean, it might not be for everybody, but it is for us.
When you watched the film I mentioned, The Social Dilemma, what was the most shocking thing for you, Lois?
Well, you know what, Jeremy? The most shocking thing for me is that it was made at all, because the individuals that are actually on that documentary must have signed disclaimers, and when they actually left working for the companies, not disclaimers, what's the word I'm looking for? Non-disclosures, sorry. Yeah. So how interesting that documentary was allowed to be made at all, because it's basically biting the hand that feeds it, that the fact that the big social media companies, and they allowed it to happen. And it makes me think, is it because they feel they've lost control of the narrative slightly? Do they have to now have a go at their own creation, the monster that they've created, because they're not in control of it? But yeah, I mean, the documentary, everything they were saying on that are things that I've been reading and looking into for a long time. So it was a very good documentary, actually, to be fair to Netflix. It was good. It really was.
Stay with us, Lois. We've got Rory Cellan-Jones as well.
Hello, Rory.
BBC technology editor. I mean, the documentary focuses a lot on the like button, and it seems like that is the equivalent of hearing laughter when you tell a joke, and we can't do without it, Rory.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot in that documentary which I suppose is kind of obvious. The idea that these companies want to make their products addictive. And when you think which company in which business does not want to make you want more of its product. And the interesting thing, to my point of view, is that the companies themselves have pushed back about that idea when it's kind of obvious. Facebook didn't set itself up in 2004 and say, we don't want people to spend too much time on our site. Apple didn't invent the iPhone in 2007 and say, people, yeah, they'll carry this around with them. We don't want them looking at it too much. I, by the way, have just looked at my Apple screen time app and have seen 9 hours and 59 minutes a day has been my average.
You are joking me.
My name is Rory Cellan-Jones, and I am a phoneaholic.
But hang on, that's almost more hours than you're awake for.
Yeah, I'm awake a long time, Jeremy, serving the BBC at all hours.
Lois, you've got to help this guy.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that. You say that I'm a phoneaholic, or whatever you said. Sorry, I didn't catch it completely. But Russell Brand, in his book about the 12 steps, recovery from our addictions, actually specifically mentions iPhones in the opening chapter. And he says that it's almost easier or better, not better, but it's easier to be an addict to something like drugs or alcohol, because it's very specific, then you can get away from it.
I love that Rory's phone went off while you were answering. But
when you're addicted to your phone, everybody is. So people don't realise how terribly addictive and awful it really is. My children, I mean, my daughter, she can get a smartphone when she can afford to buy one for herself. I mean, at the moment she's 10. I won't ever be buying her a smartphone, and neither will her father. So, if she can raise the money herself, she can do that.
Can I do the case for the defence?
Yes, go on.
I've been thinking very deeply about this. I'm in the middle of writing a book about the positives and negatives of the smartphone social media era, and there has been enormous positives. I mean, it has made. Well,
go on, let him try.
Let me give you one
Sorry, I'll shut
completely
up.
obvious one. During this last 9 months lockdown, we have found how important communication is and how positive it can be. Every morning.
You could flip that and say that they wouldn't have been able to do the lockdown. We would have had to have just got on with it, like thousands of years of human beings have. If we hadn't have had the technology, so you could flip it and say that actually the lockdown wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, and thousands more people would have died.
Possibly not.
Yeah, but let me just give you a simple example. I'm on one side of London. My son and granddaughter, who's getting on for 2, are on the other side.
I don't believe you're a grandfather. What's going on in this?
Can you believe that?
I'm learning so much about you in this conversation.
Every morning and evening, I have a FaceTime call with my granddaughter. I would not miss that for the world. That would not have been possible.
Why can't you talk on the phone?
Because I can see her. She can wave
but you could
at me.
do that. You could do that on a laptop, to be fair. We're talking specifically about phones. I mean, I use my laptop, of course I do, to connect with people.
So you're addicted to your laptop?
Maybe not addicted.
But I don't have the laptop in my handbag. I don't have the laptop in my hand all the
Lois, you'll be
time.
interested in this. I recently bought one of those old phones that we had in the 70s, you know, that just sit there, basically, and you know, that when you dial, it has to come back and everything. It used to get so furious, you know.
When... the brick phone?
Oh,
the dirty
the plug-in, the landline. We're going back before
we've
that.
got a landline. I'm talking to you on a landline.
Well, the thing, Rory, that amazed me was that the quality of conversations is better. I'm talking about...
It is. I totally agree with you, Jeremy.
Rory, I'm talking about the quality of the... Yeah, clear as a bell, the actual line. But people are more interesting when they talk on a landline.
Can I completely refute that? The landline is now a scam call machine. The only calls I get...
I've not had one scam call.
Hang on.
Not one.
The only calls I get on my landline are from one elderly relative, and but mostly from Amazon.
The elderly relative is not the scam call, just to be clear.
No.
Okay, right. Well, I haven't had that. But I mean, listen, we know all about scams and the internet. So there's
they're prolific.
But Lois, the thing is, it's fine to live in the 20th century, but we're in the 21st, and it's like...
Well, I'm in the 20th century because I have access to everything that I need. I've got my laptop. I'm not in any way not involved in the 21st century, but not all innovations are that great, you know, and sometimes you have to look at the whole picture and just pick and choose what you want to do, not feel that there's a tyranny.
Okay, let me just play. This is from The Social Product. Let me play this clip.
Okay.
So I've been an investor in technology for 35 years. The first 50 years of Silicon Valley, the industry made products, hardware, software, sold them to customers. Nice, simple business. For the last 10 years, the biggest companies in Silicon Valley have been in the business of selling their users.
It's a little even trite to say now, but because we don't pay for the products that we use, advertisers pay for the products that we use. Advertisers are the customers. We're the thing being sold.
The classic saying is, if you're not paying for the product, then you are the product.
So that's Social Dilemma, and they're talking about us as the product there, Rory. And that's the problem here, isn't it? That we suddenly realise that we are being sold.
Yeah, and there is a bit there. Somebody said something really interesting to me a week or so ago. A big critic of Facebook's, for instance, said it's great for you as an individual. It's incredibly powerful for you as an individual. It's dangerous for the world. It's a bit like owning a petrol car that's spewing out fumes. It's great for you as an individual, but it's destroying the planet. They are using your data. And they're getting a lot of data. They're data businesses. You get something for nothing, i.e. access to their services, but your and this comes back to the like button, your every like is being marketed to. And we learnt during the whole scandal around Cambridge Analytica and Facebook just how much they could learn from your likes. They reckon that they can divide everything about your personality from the stuff you like. I've got to
leave it there. I know you want to go on, Les, but I've got to play Fleetwood Mac, all right? Thank you both. Have a great December. Lois Perry and Rory Kethlen-Jones, grandfather.
Thank you so much.